What's going on, man? It's your boy Jay Holley, and we are back for another episode of Believe in the Cowboys. We're gonna break down every single thing that went on in the Cowboy game. You can find Believe on the Believe Network. You can find it at all your local, where you get all your podcasts from: Apple, Spotify. Make sure you tap in, like YouTube, all that kind of stuff. Subscribe. Do all the great things that you have to do to make sure that when I drop this, when Believe drop this great content, that you are ready to receive it. And then put it in a family group chat. Like put it in the homeboy, homegirl group chat, put it in the family group chat, put it in the church bulletin, put it in, whatever it is, put it everywhere. Everyone needs to know about it. Everyone needs to hear about this. But before we get started, I'd like to talk about my friends at Bet Online. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. Bet Online has stats, every matchup, even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get into our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread each and every week for your chance to win a weekly prize and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on our game of blackjack, poker, and unwind one of the over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet Online, the game starts here. And as we get into this Cowboys Saints debauchery, embarrassment, behind the shedding, old-fashioned. I don't know about y'all, and I'm not a country boy. I am from the concrete jungle, New Jersey. I'm from the inner city, New Jersey, so I don't relate well to country stuff. But I think this remains the same, whether it was country or whether it was city. I was raised by an old school grandma. Okay. My grandma was old school. And even though we didn't live in the country, there were times where grandma would say to me or one of my brothers, when we did something wrong, we were acting up, being a little bit disrespectful, being a little bit hard-headed, just being boys. And she had it up to here. She would say, go outside and get a switch. And you, as the person who was getting ready to be the receiver of this whooping, had to go outside. And you better not skimp. You better not go outside and get some old little skinny, little flimsy, weak switch. You better bring one back sturdy enough that she was satisfied with. Because she was getting this whooping regardless. She was already upset. She was already mad. You had already worn out your welcome, and you was going to get this whooping. As the young kids say, you was going to get this work. And you have to go outside and basically pick the weapon that you are about to get whooped with. And that's what this game felt like. It felt like the Saints told the Cowboys, go on outside, get a switch, don't get no flimsy one. Bring it on back in here because I'm getting ready to tear your butt up. And the Saints proceeded to whoop on the Cowboys. Now, I don't know how much time I even want to spend. I'm going to spend a little bit of time. But I can literally sit here for 2 hours and just point out all the damage that was done in this football game. I can point out people. I can point out scheme. I can point out all those things. But this was an old-fashioned whooping. I don't know how there are no eloquent ways to say it. There are no, PC ways or PC names to give it. I'm not into bullying. I think bullying is wrong. I do. I think bullying shouldn't exist. If there is a 1-800-bully number, we should flash it up on the screen. They should have put it on that beautiful big 4K jumbotron at AT&T, not AT&T, at Kyle Shanahan Tree Stadium. That's what it's renamed. Because anybody from the Kyle Shanahan, and Kyle Shanahan included, they own the Cowboys. So they should have put it on that beautiful jumbotron at Kyle Shanahan Tree Stadium, because bullying commenced Sunday, all day, play after play. And when it's one thing because I cover the game and I'm watching the game and I do a pre and a halftime and a post game show. And so, you're watching it, and sometimes you don't kind of get the chance to really see it. You're not in control of the playback. You're not in control of any of that. So you kind of got to go how the TV goes. However, what was it, Fox, whoever it is, however the TV goes, you got to go with it. And so you try to catch things as good as you possibly can, and you try to note take things, and you try to put together this formulated, especially for halftime and post game show. Pre-game, you kind of just do the work throughout the week. And so a lot of things you may miss in the game, and you may not see in the game. But then when you get a chance to come home and you watch the playback, and then when the film comes out and you're able to dive into the film, you just see what bullying looks like in the NFL. And all you have to do is just watch from the first play. Don't even get into the fourth quarter yet, third quarter yet. Don't get to the fourth drive, the first play of the game. The first play of the game. The Cowboys defensive tackle gets driven back 9 yards. Mozzie Smith. And I'm not exaggerating. I wish I was. I wish I was coming on here, and I wish I was just over everything. And I was just, Jess, you're just too much. You're over the top. Sometimes you take a little bit things too far. First play of the game. He gets driven back 8.5, 9 yards. And then you just saw it over and over. And it was really pick a number. 58, 90, 93, 98, 97, whatever number. And football games, to the football lifers, to the people who understand and know football at the base level, at the core level, they'll tell you that football is won in the trenches. Whoever can win the line of scrimmage. And New Orleans won the line of scrimmage from their offensive line dominating the Cowboys' defensive line. And then their defensive line held up and didn't allow the Cowboys to get anything on the ground. They just basically said, we're going to play 4 up front. We're going to rush 4 and drop 7. And there's nothing that you have in that backfield that scares us. There's nothing that you have in the form of a running back that strikes fear in our heart. That will make us have to commit more guys to the line of scrimmage. That will make us have to design blitzes. We'll get to the quarterback with 4. We'll stop the run with 4, and we'll make your day just a living hell. And I know a lot of people are going to talk about scheme, rightfully so, as you should. The Kyle Shanahan scheme, Clint Kubiak scheme, as they say, as the young people say, very demure, very mindful, very cutesy. and and sometimes it's scheme. And like I said today on some of my shows, sometimes it's just straight belt to tail. And when you look at what the Saints did from go, was belt to tail. They ran when they wanted. They ran how they wanted. They ran wherever they wanted. Right side, left side, up the middle, outside. And then off that, the play action was there. Alvin Kamara, 20 carries for 115 yards, 5.8 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns because he had a receiving touchdown. He had 65 yards receiving. Fun fact, Alvin Kamara also had a 6-touchdown game back in 20-something. He was playing for the Saints, and they were playing the Vikings. Head coach and defensive coordinator at that time, ding, 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 you guessed it, Mike Zim. I think it was 2020. December 2020, Vikings Saints. He had 6 touchdowns. I thought he was going for 6 again. He had a good start. Derek Carr, 16 attempts, 11 completions, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. They did what they wanted, when they wanted, how they wanted, and who they wanted it to. Who they wanted to do it to all game long. And it has been a conversation. I played for the Cowboys. I have been covering this team for a long time. It has been a conversation, a real life discussion for years and years and years on if this team could ever stop the run. And I remember like people poo-pooed on Dan Quinn last year as he exited the Cowboys. Of course, we saw what happened with Green Bay in the playoffs, and people soured on Dan Quinn, and it was his scheme didn't fit. He had players playing out of position, and I'm not here to say I don't agree with some of that. But it was this thought of Mike Zim's coming in. He's going to bring guys who play linebacker, who play the position, and he's going to have this double-A gap scheme, and it's going to rectify all of our problems. Still, in free agency, there was never a real attempt, and I get it. You drafted Mozzie Smith a year or so ago to try to fill that spot of that one technique, to be that guy in the middle. Hadn't worked out. Hadn't worked out at all. And you're getting close to having to say, we got to be done with him. And so Zim tried, and he brought some of his old dogs, some of Linval Joseph and Jordan Phillips and some of the old guys back in. It felt like watching this defense yesterday that guys were collecting checks. And I don't like to go at guys that way. But when you got a 330-pound guy getting pushed 5, 6, 7 yards off the football, not by double teams, by just another man, just one-on-one. I find it unless you're like just you're completely injured, then get off the field. I just find that very hard to believe that you're not doing anything but collecting a check. At some point in time, you got to stand up for yourself. Like, your mom's watching. You got kids. You know what I'm saying? You probably got a girlfriend and a wife. Like, they all watching. You know what I mean? Your favorite one down at the strip club, she probably watching the game like, that's my boo. And you getting pushed around. You just can't. You can't. I'm never going to accept that. And I jokingly laugh, and I'm like, these dudes will probably beat me up. Maybe. But that doesn't make any difference if you beat me up if the guy you're supposed to be blocking on the football field is treating you like a redheaded stepchild. Come on. But the Cowboys defensively were embarrassed. They were dominated. They were beat up. They were bullied. And it felt personal. Like it felt like we came in here with a personal, like it wasn't just like another game. Like it felt personal. It felt like that. Here's how I sometimes try to draw a comparison. And this is, some may get it, some may not. I had the very, very fortunate opportunity and blessing to be able to play basketball at the University of North Carolina. I'm a national champion, 2005 national champion. I played with some really great players. I played under one of the greatest coaches in NCAA history, Roy Williams. It did not matter who we played. Did not matter what our record was. Whenever across our jerseys it said North Carolina, whenever the University of North Carolina walked into a gym, we got everyone's best. The year we won the national championship, I think we lost to, I think it was St. Mary's or something like that. I don't think so. They couldn't miss. St. Mary's couldn't beat us. If we played St. Mary's 100 times, we'd probably beat them 99 times. But they couldn't miss. No matter what gym that we went into, we got everyone's best. Now, sometimes our best was just way better and we just boat race people. But the same thing applies when you're a Dallas Cowboy. I play for the Bengals. I play for the Patriots. I play for the Cowboys. And it doesn't matter what the record is. It doesn't matter whether you're home or away. When you're a Dallas Cowboy, you're going to get everyone's best. For whatever reason, they want to bring it to you. And it felt like that from the Saints. It felt like this was a game that they took very personal. Oh, by the way, it could also be Clint Kubiak, who is a disciple of Kyle Shanahan and was part of the Kyle Shanahan tree, has also coached under Mike Zim, was fired by Mike Zim at his time in Minnesota. Maybe he took that a little personal. Maybe he said, this is my chance for a little get back. Hey, I'm all for petty. I am not only a member, I'm probably the vice president of the petty committee. So if Clint Kubiak looked at this game and said, oh guys, hey fellas, I'm gonna be in the lab extra because I got a little get back. I need to get back on that old man over on that other side. I'm for it. The Cowboys didn't show up. And you know, Michael Parsons talked about it. Didn't like their effort. I mean, guys were getting blocked, sticking on blocks, getting run over. And it just brought back to the attention of the Cowboys can't stop the run game. And if you're a good football team and you commit to the run, the Cowboys have not figured out how to stop the run. And quiet has just kept. This is a little side note. I'm going to throw this in for free. Okay? This one they're not paying me for. I'm going to throw this one in for free. Side note. Trends are always coming and going in life, in fashion, in music, in sports. You're seeing passing touchdowns are down. Overall quarterbacking is down. The running game is back up. The running game is picking up in the National Football League. They were trying to get the running backs out of the National Football League. They didn't want to pay any of them. They treated them like a hot garbage commodity. It looks like the running game is coming back to the National Football League. Just watch. Now, I'm a wide receiver, so I want the pass game to always be thriving. But if you just look at some of these games that are happening lately, you see the running game starting to pick up a little bit. Teams are starting to say, you know what? Hey, we're going to start running this football. Because now what all the other teams have begun to do, and this is across the board, football teams have begun to build their football teams to do what? Stop the pass. Because the trend in the National Football League has been pass happy league, right? That's why all the rules are coming into play. Can't touch the quarterback, can't touch receivers because they want the points to be up. They want all those things to be up. But the running game seems to be finding its stride again. Just look. If you hear snoring, that's Mamba in the back snoring. Hush, Mamba. Um, and so the Saints, they ran the football at an overall for 39 carries, 190 yards, 4.9 yards a carry. And what makes it even more interesting, they didn't break any 70-yard runs off. And this is how you can tell when it's just a downright whooping. Switch whooping. Their longest run was 15 yards. They out of their 190 total yards rushing, they didn't have a big 70-yard run, an 80-yard run that really kind of, fluffed the statistics. Their longest run was an Alvin Kamara 15-yard run. They had a Jamal Williams 11-yard run, and they had a Taysom Hill 9-yard run. Those are the longest top three rushes that they had. They just put belt to tail. And if nothing else, the Cowboys should be embarrassed. Now, you could probably say, because most of you will say this, and I don't get this insane rhetoric. Most of you will say, well, Dak Prescott's getting paid $60 million a year. He needs to be better. I thought Dak Prescott was okay. I thought he was okay. I thought the one interception in the first half from that was on Brooks, he slipped. Like, that play was perfect. Like, if you go back and you watch the play, it's exactly where you want the football. As you want the football, if I'm running that deep in route, I want the football 2 or 3 steps from the top of the numbers, and the ball was coming right on par. He slipped. The wide receiver slipped. That's not on Dak. That first one is not on Dak at all. Like, that's one of those things where it just happens. But that route, the throw, everything it's exactly what you wanted. You take away the slip, that's a completion. He slips, DB intercepts it. Now the second one, I get it. That one was a YOLO. We're already losing. Ain't nobody really out here making no plays for me. Where's 88? Where's 88? But overall, Dak didn't have a bad game. The Cowboys, there's another trend for the Cowboys that's been a consistent for the last 5 to 7 years. Struggling to score points in the red zone. Because if you look at it, like, it wasn't like they weren't matching the scoring. They wasn't matching the scoring total, but the Saints get 7 points. The Cowboys were driving the ball back down the field, getting in the red zone, and then having brain farts. Having the missed throws, missed blocks, poor execution, and had to settle for 3. The Saints scored 4 touchdowns in a row. The Cowboys went field goal, touchdown. So it's the fact of the matter when it comes to scoring. Now I get it. It weren't touchdowns. But it wasn't like they weren't getting in position to score touchdowns. They got into the red zone and all of a sudden things just fell apart. And a touchdown here opposed to a field goal, you get, if you get field goal, touchdown, that's 14, 17, 20. Score is now 28-20. It's a different ball game. It's a different ball game when score is 28-20 opposed to then 28-13. And then things just continue to get out of hand. So the Cowboys have to find themselves, offensively, when they get in the red zone, be better in the red zone. The Cowboys running game is cooked. And I don't mean Dalvin. It's cooked. It is cooked. I like Zeke as a human. Deuce Vaughn is a good story. Like him as a human. Rico, they got no juice back there. And then even the play calling, like I was confused sometimes with Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy, you were plays where you were calling an inside between the tackles run for the 5'7", 165-pound Deuce Vaughn. And then you were calling sweep toss plays to the 29-year-old over 1,800 carry Zeke Elliott. And he was struggling to get outside. I mean, it was like, I'm trying to get there. Like, even that didn't make any sense. Like, if you're going to use Deuce, put him in space. Everyone knows that. Why do I want to run Deuce in between the tackles? I don't want to run him in the A gaps. I want to get him in space. I want him on the toss sweeps. I want him on the bubble screens. I want him on the flare routes. I want him with the ball in his hands in space and see what he can do. I want Zeke running in between the tackles. I want him to get the dirty yards and churn out 3 or 4 or 5 yards the dirty way, not the opposite way. The Cowboys all around in this football game, man, from the word go, was just absolutely bad. Absolutely bad. And the good thing is it's only week 2. The bad thing is that now the same thing still remains and everyone now is alerted of it. This league is a copycat league. So if you think Baltimore is not going to come in here and it's already been conversation about the first 2 weeks about King Henry not getting the ball when he's supposed to get the ball. Well, if there was a diagnosis of, like the flu, like the running influenza, the Cowboys are just what the doctor ordered. If there is a sickness of not running the football well on your football team, the Cowboys are just what the doctor ordered. They are the prescription for teams who are looking to jumpstart their run game. You can bet your bottom dollar Baltimore's going to come in here and say, "Hey, we saw what the Saints did to you guys. It's a copycat league, and guys always want to come back in and test to see if you correct it, well, put on film." But what an absolute whooping the Saints put on the Cowboys this past Sunday at Kyle Shanahan Tree Stadium. What was the score? 44. There's a lot to a little bit. Who had on their bingo card, their NFL bingo card this year, that after 2 weeks of football, that the New Orleans Saints would be 2-0 and lead the league in scoring. 47 points the first game, 44 points the second game. What is that? 45 and a half, right? 41 and a half, points per game. I went to public high school and college. But I didn't have that on my bingo card. I didn't have that 44-19 as a score. I didn't have that on my bingo card. That the Saints would come in there and lead this thing. But what a fantastic job that Dennis Allen has done defensively. Clint Kubiak has done offensively. They have given new life to guys like Alvin Kamara. They've taken Derek Carr, who's been a decent quarterback in his time in the league. He's never found himself in the upper echelon of quarterbacks, but he hadn't been bad enough to be in the bottom tier of the quarterback. He's like kind of that line of where you delineate good and bad quarterbacks. Like he floats back and forth from that line. He is the Mason Dixon line of that. But you see, coaching matters, and this Kyle Shanahan system, they take the work out of the quarterback hands and put it into the way that system is broken down. They do the dirty work for you and just say, "Hey, just trust what I say. If it's zone, throw the ball here. If it's man, throw the ball here, and it's going to work." And right now, I know it's early, but they got Derek Carr looking like he one of them, looking like he him. I don't know if he him, but he looked like he him in the first 2 weeks. We thought it was just the Carolina Panthers. Nah, it's the Cowboys too that he made look very, very pedestrian. So kudos to the Saints. The Cowboys have some soul searching to do. They got to look at that man in the mirror and figure out if they want to make that change. If not, we're going to be asking Andy if you're okay, because they just got beat again. So for me, I ain't gonna get no more whoopings. I'm too old for whoopings. Ain't nobody whooping up on me no more. I ain't going to get no switch. But for Cowboy fans and for Cowboys players, you better figure out a way to right this ship. You better figure out a way to right this ship. Or you'll be bullied again next week from the boys from Baltimore. And they got a running back that will punish you as well. And they have a quarterback that's super dynamic. You better bring your hard hats and your attention to details. All right, man, that's it for me. I'm out of here. Continue to catch all the shows. Check out Believe Network. If you have a team, any team in the league that Believe has it covered, head over to the Believe Network and find your team. Find your people that represent your team. Head over to Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all your spots where you find your podcasts and your viewership. Type in Believe in the Cowboys over Believe Network and find me. I'll be here. No spanking, though. No switches for me. I just deliver the news. All right, man. I'm out of here, man. Y'all have a good one. Eliminate the contingencies.